So hi, welcome from my side as well. I'm Kalev Rundu. I'm a senior product manager for Pipedrive. I usually work from our main office in Tallinn, but today I'm here in Prague. As some of you might know, then last year October we opened the Pipedrive office here in Prague as well. But we didn't have any product people here, so sort of me and two colleagues, Caroline, a product designer, and Henrik, engineering lead, volunteered to join the Prague team. There was no Prague team, besides from Tomas at that time. To come and join for a few months to kick this initiative off. And I was talking at that time with my manager, her name is Jana, that sure, I'm absolutely willing to go to Prague for a few months. And she kept making this face to me and said, don't worry, Easter is beautiful in Prague. And I didn't think much about it. I was sure, I have no intention to stay until Easter. And then we got to fly back home for Christmas for a small holiday break, and I saw Jana in the office again. And she was asking me, how's everything? How's the office in Prague? I bet the city is beautiful at Christmas. You know what else? Prague is really beautiful at Easter. So I was thinking that, this joke keeps haunting me, that I still had no intention to stay until Easter. Why I'm telling you the story? It's Easter, and I think Jana is a psychic. But at the same time, when we started our office here, we also switched our engineering processes from what we had done until then with themes and epics to tribes and missions. And Michael will talk more about this. But at the same time, we had become huge fans of the design sprint, which was one very naturally integrated process into our mission initiative, which is something I'm here to talk to you about today. It will be quite short. Actually, the shortest workshop we have done for this has been 2 hours, so we will touch only the surface of it. But I will bring you some examples, and we'll take you through the 5 days of the design sprint, and I will tell you a little bit about examples, how it has been helpful for us. Maybe just a show of hands, how many of you have been participating in a design sprint before? Okay, so quite a few. Alrighty. So what is our design sprint? It's basically a 5-day process for answering critical questions, complex problems. Thanks. It also includes prototyping and testing ideas already with customers within all of this within the first 5 days. This has been, the book about design sprint called Sprint has been written by Jacob, who is one of the partners in Google Ventures. So it's about mapping the problem, sketching the problem, deciding which part of the problem to solve, prototyping, and also testing between customers. So why is it useful for you? And where's actually the benefit in it? Is that you can actually accelerate your process from ideating to prototyping to actually getting the first actual customer feedback within those 5 days without actually having to invest time into development. You learn fast, you fail fast, and eventually you will get your product to market faster because you make sure you're focused on the right thing. So the first day of the design sprint, Monday, is all about understanding the problem through mapping the problem down. So you start at the end, you visualize and word your end goal, get optimistic. What do you want to achieve in 6 months, in 5 years? What's the end goal? And you start from there. For example, my end goal presenting this topic to you would be that I've sparked your interest in design sprint as a tool to validate ideas and explore solutions to complex problems. Then you list the key players of this in this process, which is like the workshop participants. And then you map down those steps that you, as the customer, have to take in order to achieve this end goal. While doing that, the whole team participating in this design sprint is creating such a flow. It doesn't look as nice as in the previous picture, but this is what it will look like in practice. And the design sprint also advises you, or actually really demands you to include expert interviewees in this. They can be internal experts from within your company. You also can include already some of the customers. And the reason for that is, like, even if you map down this flow with your team, the assumption is that you don't always get everything right. So they can help you to validate this map, and eventually, if you have validated this with your users and interviewees, then you pick a more specific target. There's only that much you can do within those 5 days. So if you have a complex problems for what the design sprint is designed to solve, you should pick one specific part of this problem that you want to solve. So if the Monday was about understanding the problem and mapping the problem down, then on Tuesday you already get more into solution mode. This is about sketching and looking how to solve this problem from different angles. So it consists of multiple tasks or exercises. The morning starts with taking down notes from the previous day. You will have this flow that you prepared. You will have a bunch of questions that have emerged within mapping down this flow. And it starts with just like doodling first ideas that you get. Then one of my favorite exercises, Crazy 8, is basically that you take one A4 white paper, fold it into 8 frames, and you have 1 minute for each frame. And you basically have to start with the most promising idea from your head. Start doodling, iterating on this idea. 1 minute passes, you have to move to the next frame. You can continue on the previous idea, iterating it, or you can come up with a new one if this previous one was a dead end. So at this Crazy 8, you will be surprised how productive a human mind can be when it's under time pressure. And at the end of the day, it will actually conclude with already actual, real sketches of what you want to prototype. There is no limit in how many of those sketches you can create, and it will look like this. You start with a 3-panel storyboard. This should contain the main functionality of the feature, and you can add comments on the side. And anyone can sketch, just be brave about it. And at the end of the day, you will have like a ton of those one-pagers with different ideas to solve this main problem. Which brings us to Wednesday, which is the day where you actually decide for which solution you are going for. It starts off with an exercise called the art gallery, where all of those one-pagers from last day are gallery style put on the walls, and where the whole team can have a look at what other team members came up with. And it will create a heat map. Like, if you're asking what those blue dots are, then every participant in this design sprint becomes amount of stickers and puts them on the idea that seems most promising to them. So it's basically creating a heat map. After that, you can look at different solutions on different papers and see, like, okay, I had like, maybe I didn't like the whole idea, but I liked like one very specific feature on this page. And then you can combine from those different pages and come up with something something even better from different ideas. There's also an exercise called speed critique, where people who posted those blue little dots on those pages can give critique to each other's work. Normally it's not the author who introduces this idea, but someone else from the team has to basically explain what this person who has created this one-pager could have meant with it, which also sort of validates, is this idea clear enough for everyone? And then, of course, like obviously, you can ask afterwards clarifying questions from the author of this. Then if this team has decided that, okay, we now put together this like most promising ideas, maybe we have like changed some post-its on this, but this should be like the concept. We want to start building the prototype and we want to test and validate afterwards. Then the team starts building a storyboard, which basically means that this prototype is the interviewee is supposed to perform a task with it. So you create a storyboard. You, customer X, open this app, you want to do this and that, and you want to end up there. And this is the basis for Thursday, where you're prototyping this. And the prototype mindset is that within time, you lose in willingness to change your prototype. So in this very first moments, or like very first feedback moments, you are more open to actually receive feedback. And this is also why this fits very well into this design sprint process, as you have limited time for every exercise. So just like build just enough to learn, but not more. These are a few tools that we in Pipedrive have used for prototyping. Mostly we use Marvel, but also InVision. We have used actual code. The main idea is just to do something that is clickable, that is movable, that gets the idea across. But also we have done it with just papers. And Friday, testing. So you have prepared a prototype, you have interviewees that you want to test this prototype with. It's called the Makeshift Research Lab, where like one person of the team is the interviewer who is conducting those interviews, and the rest of the team is basically listening to this. If it's mostly, in our case, it's a Zoom call, so other people can listen in, take notes about how this interviewer is taking the user through this process of testing the prototype. And it's a 5-act interview. It starts with welcoming the customer and so on, introduction to the prototype, then completing the task that you wrote the script about, the storyline, and afterwards like a quick debrief what has been done. And then the wrap-up. After those 5 days, you will know how to actually go on. It's in our cases, like we have had good experiences and bad experiences. The good experience is basically that you know exactly what you have to do. Okay, we got feedback that we need to change this part, we need to change this part, and in a worst case scenario, you don't know. This means something like within those 5 days has gone wrong. Maybe you picked a problem that was too vague. Maybe you cannot solve this only within one design sprint. But you will have enough feedback for this prototype if you have conducted at least like 5 interviews like after 3 mostly stuff or the feedback gets already repetitive. And to wrap up, like a couple of advices, or like what we deem that you should achieve, or like what makes a successful sprint. When can you say that a sprint is successful, or how can you actually be sure that it's successful for you? Do it by the book, and this will be the nerdiest thing I say today. We have learned it the hard way. We actually tried to achieve the process a couple of times. We tried to do a 3-day design sprint, and it didn't work out well at all. We chose a problem that was too vague. We didn't get enough consolidated input from sketching. We had so many different ideas how to solve this problem. So eventually we did a prototype, but the feedback didn't tell us anything. And commit to it. It's a 5-day process. The team will be actually dealing with it for the whole 5 days, and if they are distracted and not committed to it, again, it won't work out well. Assemble the right team, which is also really important in this case. Assemble the right team. We have their product managers, engineers, people from research, data analysts, also occasionally people from support, but don't make the team too big either. So 6 or 7 people is perfect. And get different perspectives, exactly like if it's something you build for end customers, and you feel that your customer support people might have insight about this, then include them. This has proven itself very useful in our cases as well. And pick the right people. There are a couple of roles in this design sprint as well that are very essential. There's the designer, who is mostly the main stakeholder, or who is like the PM of this relevant area or topic, or where this feature will be built. Then there is the facilitator, who can be like, in our cases, we are at this point, it doesn't matter if it's like a lead designer, if it's a PM, just anyone who has already some experience with participating and conducting those design sprints. And then the rest of the team consists of experts. And set the stage. Homework in that case is really important. Agree on the interviews already beforehand. Prep the room. Avoid any distractions. So details matter. You have to have enough space to write on whiteboards, to take notes. So this part is also like a big part of the design sprint. And most essential, have a good Monday. Have a good first day. Like really move on to the new tasks if you are happy with what came of the previous one. Because make sure you understand the problem and which part of the problem you're solving. So pick the right size of the problem, pick the right target. So if your flow looks like this, like in our case, then we only pick this small area of the problem. Because already, if you can improve this very specific area that actually is the part that provides the value to your customer, then you are already in plus. And go dig deeper. Go read the book and go try it out. Right now, there is also, I've read about it, Design Sprint 2.0, which is meant to be a shorter version of 2 or 3 days. We haven't tried it yet, so I cannot vouch for it. Maybe some of you have. But I'm sure we'll try it out really soon. And that's it from my side. I'm open for some questions if there are any.
Okay, so do we have any questions in the audience? Do we have to use this, or can you speak out loud?
got one.
All right.
You mentioned that you need to assemble a team, which is obviously important because more people need more opinions and more help. Would you conduct the design sprint on your own? By yourself, alone?
Alone? No. Definitely not. No.
No way.
No, what we have done is, the question was if I would conduct a design sprint on my own. What we have done is we have used different exercises from within this design sprint to solve different, like, smaller problems. Like, hey, okay, let's do some crazy eight on this idea or so. But I don't think it fulfills this purpose because, you know, I'm not a designer, for example. I don't have, like, all the perspectives that I mentioned as well. That it's again, like, I would probably just end up building a feature instead of solving a solution.
Okay, any other questions?
I can just go on. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Can you mention one example of a good problem you managed to solve during that week, and also an example of a vague problem you did not manage to solve? You mentioned that one as well.
I can. It's also like it's so. When we started last year, when we started this office in Prague, it was supposed to concentrate on prospecting for Pipedrive, which was a part that we hadn't touched a lot. So a positive scenario for that case was that we included most of the team that we had at that time. The problem was really vague in the beginning, because, like, prospecting is a huge topic. But when we conducted this first expert interviews and user interviews, we found out, like, which part of prospecting is actually most important for them. We basically fed them different choices and got the reactions from there. So we went with the solution that we have been actually building ever since here in Prague, which is basically a bot that helps you to qualify leads. So this we succeeded in basically finding out that in this prospecting process, the most important step for them is this qualification. And this has been going really well because we really managed to get it right from the start. A negative example, for example, is that when we tried, basically what it ended up being was something, or like the first iteration of communications hub, or like phone calls and emails and SMS could be handled. But this was, like, already too vague. We had a prototype. The feedback about was that, I don't know, it seems okay, but I don't really know. But I have to say that we were already not very experienced at that point either. So this was, like, one of our first lessons. So we definitely should have picked, like, some problem of this communication hub that would have been a little smaller.
Okay. So you would say that the main thing is to identify, like, a very clear problem.
Yes, definitely.